Well, welcome to the Four Students Podcast. It's me, Ed, and your friend and favorite, Kellie.
What's up, everybody?
Good to be back in the studio. It's been a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that's been really fun for me, and we've done several things as an organization here at the end of summer because we're recording this like in August. But this is something I didn't even realize that I was missing that badly. But we just moved my two daughters into school. That's a whole other thing altogether.
That's a whole other thing to talk about.
Yes, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, both Lily and Annie are off at school now. Last week we dropped them. Tuesday we moved Lily into her house. Annie moved her into her dorm on Wednesday. It's crazy. So they're up there, just feeling, particularly Annie, feeling the ebbs and flows of just that, being away from home. She's meeting so many great people. Her roommate is amazing. But it's just, it's new and it's hard. And like we keep telling her, if it feels hard, that's because it's hard. Like, don't be surprised. But one of the things that's happened twice in a week for me, I guess, within 8 days, is something that I gave up like a long time ago. And I've realized, I was talking with Jenna, like, when was the last time? And in college, I used to play a lot of competitive doubles beach volleyball, growing up in Florida. And we would go to there were certain like apartment complexes right around University of Florida and some few hard courts on campus at UF. And we just every free moment in between class, we're like, hey, want to meet up at wherever? And we would go and play doubles and pretty competitive doubles sand volleyball. And then we moved to Colorado. We got married, moved to Colorado. I ended up coaching a middle school developmental team, assistant coached for a year, 2 years, and then head coach for 7 years. But I realized that I had kind of stopped playing for me and finding groups of people that are playing competitive volleyball. And in May, when Lily was home from college, we just went because she played high school volleyball. We went and played with another student that we know and one of his friends. And I met a couple of guys out there at the sand courts, and they put me on a group chat, like a WhatsApp group chat this summer. And then we were gone a lot of July, but we're back. And then I started, kind of got in the chat, introduced myself or whatever. And last Sunday, I got invited out to play with some guys that have played. One guy was older than me, and then the other two guys were younger. One guy, I guess there were 5 of us out there. We'd rotate in and out. But one of the guys was in his 20s. So, I mean, the level of volleyball was something I had not experienced in 25 years. And it was just crazy to just walk out. I don't know. It's I use this analogy a lot, but you turn the treadmill up to 7 or whatever, and then just jump on. You're not on, and so that's the way I felt. I was like trying to get my legs moving, and then jump on, and okay, here we go. No. After 25 years of not, and I didn't play nearly as badly as I expected, and I loved it, and I was sore till Thursday. My body was destroyed. Like when I would take deep breaths, my ribs hurt. I think I told you the flesh between my ribs was sore. Like everything was sore. The muscles in my feet were sore. It was just like I hadn't moved like that in so long. And I run, and Jen and I work out, a few times a week, and we stay in decent shape, thank God, because I would have been, I'd have been on staff meeting in Zoom, like laying in bed in traction. But it was amazing. And then this past Sunday, went out and played again. And it's been this thing that, I don't know. I just found myself thinking for me and kind of wanting other people to know too. I want people to experience this. Like there are seasons of life where you kind of feel you have to just, it's just busy. You just got to put your head down and grind and just do. But at the same time, I know a couple of other people, and not many, but our friend Patrick has done this really well despite him having kids and being married all this time. He's continued to play competitive soccer and been in a league and going and playing pickup games and has continued to do that. And he's set aside time and worked with his wife and their family around doing that well. And I wish I had. It was just this realization wow, 25 years of something that gives me so much energy in life. And something that I worked hard at during that season to be good at. It was just wild to realize, wow, why did I let 25 years go? That's what these guys are asking me. Like, how did you go 25 years without volleyball? And I was like, well, I was in it, coaching, et cetera. But I don't know, it's interesting.
But now you're back.
But now I'm back.
Let's forget the 25 years in the morning of
52.
Losing that.
That's right.
And we're looking to the future.
No, it's been so fun.
That's so fun. I love that for you.
One of those bright spots. After the girls move out, it's like, okay, there's a little less responsibility there at home, and so a little bit more discretionary time. It's been cool.
That's so fun. I love
Is there anything that you used to do before the boys were born, before you were married, that you don't get to do anymore, you wish you still did?
I don't know. I feel
what are
like
you
Dana and
sacrificing as a mother?
I don't think I'm sacrificing anything.
That's amazing. Who gets to say that?
I mean, Dana and I both are hobby people.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
we both really enjoy these random hobbies, and then we'll like be full steam ahead for like 5 seconds, and then we'll like fizzle out, and then some of them that we really like stick around. But
you guys have also been really good about communicating to each other the things that do light you up. Like you and you're an adult Disney person.
I am an adult Disney fan.
And so you love, and you have multiple friends that love it too. So you guys make a point to go down there, at least it seems like a couple times a year.
Yeah. Done some races down there.
Yes,
and stuff.
That's right. So that's really cool. And then time away with your girlfriends, it seems like you guys set aside
very
time
good
to do
at that. Yeah.
Yeah. And Dane is the same.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not even maybe quite as good as you are at kind of getting those things on the calendar, but he's still pretty good about it.
I think it's harder for dudes to plan things like that. So I think he would want to, and he has every intention of it being as frequent, but I think me and my friends just plan it more often and make it happen, and it leaves the group chat.
That's right. The plans
more
make
often.
It out of the group
so
chat more.
Yeah, but I don't know that I'm.
That's awesome.
I don't know that I'll be thinking about that now that you brought it to my attention.
But yeah, I mean, it's interesting because here your boys are. You have your youngest that's now starting kindergarten.
I know.
That's a whole other thing. We can talk about me dropping my daughters off at college and your youngest starting kindergarten.
My spicy redhead
your spicy ginger
kindergarten
is headed off.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. Just an interesting thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll talk about that more. But for whatever it's worth, if you're out there listening, don't give up on it. Work with your spouse, work with your partner, work with whoever. Figure out some way if you can. Mm-hmm. And I understand that maybe some level of privilege that I'm able to go do this, but find some way to continue to do the things that you love and that you're good at, that you've worked hard to foster these skills, and that give you energy in life. Because it really is, it has been so life-giving to be out there and play that. Something just so easy as a few hours of volleyball on a weekend.
For sure.
Yeah, well, today I'm pumped because and I say I've realized that because now I think this will be like our 16th or 17th episode. I say
that's cool in and of itself.
That is really cool. Hey, let's celebrate.
Holla. Holla.
Confetti emoji.
We don't know that that's the right number, but
that we don't know, but it's up there. It's high. It's more than 15. I know that.
That's
I really
awesome.
do know that.
Love that.
And I say I'm pumped every time.
Do you?
I think so. Yeah, for those of you listening, you can go back and see if that's true. But I have noticed because I will listen to these podcasts 1 or 2 times each time.
Well, you have a decision to make now. Are you going to continue to say it, or are you going to try and come up with another word?
When I say I'm pumped, that means I'm excited. I'm looking forward to. But I'm pumped about who we have on the show today. Like I have been pumped about the other 15 guests that we've had. We had Whitney on twice, so the other 14 guests, whatever. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this guy, I got to know him about 1.5 years ago, I think, and he's one of the students that took the initiative, or just probably already embodied initiative because he was recognized by an upperclassman at the time who said, oh, this guy would be great to help us get this club, and our Students for Students Club we talk about all the time, get this club started on our high school campus, and it has the power to change the culture and create spaces of belonging for younger students. I want to help build that. So we have this young man on, but he's unlike anyone I've ever met. And we've met some incredibly sharp students.
He's so smart.
Yes, he is. And I mean, not an exaggeration. Like this isn't one of those things where it's like,
that's not we're like gassing him up.
Yeah,
for no
we're not
reason.
just like, bro, you're so smart. He's
no, like,
smart. No, he's like legit smart.
He's really
and so his interests reflect. He's one of those people that kind of found the thing that lights him up and has literally, starting at a very young age, spent his time building and fostering the skills around this thing and then his knowledge base around it, down to nuanced things, which is actually what has allowed him to achieve the things that he does. This isn't just an interest. This has become a way of life almost.
And continues to after high school with his next chapter that he's about to walk into.
And so you're going to hear from this young man who is in just a few weeks, I think we figured out.
Like 3 weeks.
Like 3 weeks or so from now, will be headed to the UK. And he is going to be in the city of Oxford, attending Oxford University, one of the oldest, institutions, educational institutions on the planet, at least in the Western world. And to get into this, we were asking him, you'll hear, like, how many people do you know? Because I've never met anyone that's going to has gone to Oxford.
Neither have
And so you'll have to hear his answer. It's kind of fascinating to think about. But then to hear about his road to get to a place where he was one who qualified, who would be gained entrance into Oxford. Just really, really cool conversation. And talking about his family and learning about that he's maybe a little hot-headed. That was surprising to me because I haven't seen that.
It was surprising to me too. And fun.
And
like
fun.
We all have our things, you know?
We definitely all have our
all
things.
All of our quirks.
We have our external persona, and then we have, if you spend some time with me, who I really am. But he was kind enough to be vulnerable and talk about kind of his temper and traffic particularly. But then he also just kind of opens up too about his drive and did it cost him anything? You know, to go so hard and like and so in depth in all of these topics that would allow him to get into Oxford. And did it cost him anything in high school that he regrets? That's a kind of an interesting question that we get to hear from him. But it's just a really cool interview, and it's just fun. Hear a little bit about his family, his little sister. But yeah, I don't know. It's just a great interview.
Yeah.
I think everyone's going to enjoy learning a little bit about this young man. And I need to kind of ask your forgiveness from the outset here. I taught history for 12 years. And so I kind of jump in with a political, philosophical kind of question in the mix there. And we start talking about politics early. So don't tune out like
it's
you
not
want
as
to
bad
stay. It's not
as you could have done.
Oh, I could have. Yeah, you know me. I could have done some real damage. But instead, I just ask a question I always ask my students, and I love thinking about.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Just worth thinking about, period, I think. But yeah, really cool interview. You're going to love this, and I'm going to make sure I pronounce this, or at least try to pronounce his name correctly. But enjoy this interview with Anish Vedantham. I know you've been traveling some this summer, but it's funny. I don't know if did you listen to Ryan Sammy's podcast?
I did. I listened to it before I came over
here.
Oh,
that's hilarious. Like on the ride here?
No, I listened to it actually right after I got off the phone with you.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's funny because he started, like he was talking about that. It was super interesting to us that he was playing Text Survivor.
Oh my God.
Did you, that beginning part, I was like, this is just wild.
So fun.
But anything, awesome. Yeah, so you've been traveling, but are you involved? Like, what have you been doing since school's let out?
Yeah.
It's a loaded question.
Is it?
So
is it?
There was a point in the summer that I was working 3 different internships at the same time.
Okay.
So I've worked with a company called Best Delegate who does Model UN, and I was working with them teaching Model UN to kids for a good chunk of my summer. They flew me out to Columbia for a week to teach in person, which was awesome. So I had that going. I was working with the Charlotte Ledger, which is a local media organization, doing research on the history of education in Charlotte and how that's kind of shifted from Brown versus Board to the present day.
Yeah.
And then I was also working with the World Affairs Council of Charlotte, which is an organization that promotes global thinking in Charlotte. And I was just doing a bunch of things for them, whether that was emails, finding some information about different people in Charlotte, a lot of blog posts that I've written. So yeah, keeping myself busy in addition to all the traveling.
Busy.
Yeah, no kidding.
I don't know about the traveling. Where have you been?
So I went to India was the main place,
okay.
and then took a couple of side trips to Malaysia, Singapore for a couple of days. And then as I was flying in and while I was flying out, we went to Abu Dhabi and Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. So
that's so
my gosh.
Cool.
So all over all over Southern Asia.
Yep.
Yeah. You hit Southeast, Southwest, and the
it was awesome.
That's
I really enjoyed it.
That's
so why
cool.
those spaces? Like, why is that where you chose to go?
So my family and I used to go to India every other year before COVID.
Okay.
And then COVID, as it did with pretty much everything, derailed things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so we hadn't been back since.
Okay.
My mom, since I'm going off to college, really wanted me to go back one more time before I go, meet all the family, just see some of the sites and live in the same home that she was when she grew up.
Wow.
So that was a really cool just way to connect back and really enjoyed that. And then within that, my mom was a little worried that my sister and I would find it boring just doing that, just meeting with family. So she threw in a couple of enticements of Malaysia, Singapore, and the UAE just to get us to enjoy it a little bit more. But
So did it work?
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did really enjoy the India part as well, more than I thought I would. It was really cool to meet family, and I think I didn't appreciate it as much beforehand because the last time I went, I was 12, 11.
Okay.
And so being 18 now and like seeing that history and just getting to connect with people on a deeper level, I really enjoyed. I found it really interesting.
Yeah.
Dude, that's
That
incredible.
is really, really cool.
And so by the time you were 12, how many times had you said about every other year? So had you been there 4, 5, 6 times at that point?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. But very young. So you
very
were
young.
Yeah, I remember that.
I had stayed I'd stayed for a couple of longer times, which was nice because I got to kind of immerse myself in the language, which really helped. But I hadn't really appreciated it as much.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's really cool.
And
I
so
love that.
anything surprise you this time? Like if you'd been there all these other times, here you are with this kind of older awareness.
Mm-hmm.
You're finished. You're also kind of, I don't know. I think when we're in these spaces where we're about to make big transitions or there's big things, we soak potentially more, or we're more, I don't know, looking for things that might help us. Anything really stuck out to you?
There's a couple things. I think one of the most interesting things that is completely unrelated to my future journey, I guess, kind of, was that Chennai, which is the city that my mom grew up in, is building a metro, which I thought was very interesting. It's a big city, lots of people, understandable that they're building a metro, but I thought it was kind of crazy that they have that metro in the works, whereas a lot of cities in the U.S., just swear off public transportation. So I thought that was really interesting. The metro was one of the biggest things that really fascinated me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and once you have this really well-established city, for then to go back and try and establish public transportation after the fact. And I've actually been hearing this now for they've been talking about it for 15, 20 years. But this idea that like with India, with this, the world's largest democracy, this burgeoning economy, this economy that's kind of exploding. And now they're putting in all this infrastructure that other countries have had, but they're putting in newer versions because they're adopting it later. So there may be some difficulties to navigate now that it's so well established. But what is going in, the fiber, like all of these things, what they are building is kind of top of the line stuff that they're putting in. So kind of really a fascinating idea.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool to see.
Really cool. So what about Southeast Asia when you're going to Malaysia and these places?
I really enjoyed both Singapore and Malaysia. I loved Malaysia especially. We met with one of my mom's college friends, and so that was like cool to see.
Where did she go to school? Did she go to school in India, or where did she go to school?
So she did an undergrad in India, and then she did her master's at the London School of Economics, and then another master's at Georgia Tech. Okay. So she's kind of also been all over. Yeah. This friend, I think, was from India. Okay. And so it was really cool because, he was a great guy, and he worked at the Petronas Towers, which is one of the biggest landmarks in Kuala Lumpur. So it was really cool just to have him give us a somewhat behind the scenes tour and just show us a little bit around Kuala Lumpur, which was awesome. Yeah, your pictures were incredible because they were on his story, and so I got to see some of this as it was happening, I think. But it was pretty cool. Yeah, really enjoyed that. And then Singapore was awesome as well. Yeah. And then you go from there. So was it India, Southeast, and then to the UAE? It was Abu Dhabi, then India, then Singapore, Malaysia, back to India for a bit, and then back to Dubai. Oh, okay. And then you flew out from Dubai back home. Okay. So, we only just see stuff, online about what Abu Dhabi, and whatever these places are like. But they're so extravagant. I know. Oh my God, yeah. It's like insane.
Dubai's in my top 5.
Yeah, that's right. It's crazy. Yeah. So.
Oh, it was awesome. I saw a suit of armor in gold, and I think that just really sums up what Dubai is all about.
Right. Suit of armor in gold.
The coolest thing was it was really a mix of that traditional, it was in a market, so it was that very traditional locale, but also somewhat westernized, somewhat like everyone was English, like a lot of people spoke English, a lot of people didn't, they weren't dressed as you would expect. They were dressed pretty normally, pretty Western. Yeah, Western. And it was just so cool to see those kind of traditions blending together. It was
together.
awesome. Dubai was one of my favorite places on the trip.
That's crazy.
That's really, really fun.
Man, well, how fortunate. This is so cool that you've gotten to travel all of these places. And it makes a lot more sense now hearing even that your mother and her education, was so kind of cosmopolitan. That's really cool. So do you see that fleshing out in other parts of your family, or like, how do you see this kind of manifest in the way you live?
Yeah, I've been really lucky to travel since I was little. The first time I went to India was when I was 1. And so since then, I've been really fortunate enough to travel to so many cool places. And so that has kind of instilled in me a respect for other cultures, which I think is really important, especially in today's day and age.
Yeah.
And I think that same respect for culture has definitely present in all of my family members, and it's a big reason why I'm interested in politics, interested in international affairs, and wanting to go abroad to study.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. That's a perfect jumping off point, because where you're going. So I've had the fortune of knowing you, I think now maybe a year and a half, maybe something like that. Like I want to say you were a junior when we met when Students for Students was starting at PD. And then we've kind of had a chance to be around each other a little bit. But you've just recently graduated high school, and you are the only person that I've ever met. So therefore, the only person that I know right now who's about to go do what you're going to do. So these people who are listening who don't know you and obviously don't know what's next for you, will you talk about that for a second?
So I'm going to the United Kingdom. I'm going to Oxford University to study politics, philosophy, economics.
Yeah. And this is something that I'm trying to think how I even became aware of this. I think I taught history, in public education for 12 years. But it wasn't until, I was deep into adulthood before I'd ever even heard of the PPE, which is what these 3 things are usually kind of just referred to quickly as the PPE. But it's this track that a lot of people who are going into policy or some sort of public service as far as an elected official or some sort of, person that usually has a lot of influence in a culture, in government, et cetera. This is the kind of thing that a lot of people have followed, has gone to Oxford for this PPE. So you're obviously thinking about the world, but what pushed you in that direction?
So I've really had an interest in government since 5th grade. Actually, I could really trace it back to kindergarten, I think, when I voted in my school's mock election in 2012. And
that's incredible.
That's amazing.
I was going to ask you why. Why are you interested in politics as such a young person? But
really good question.
Yeah.
It was that, and then by the time 2016 rolled around, and God, this makes me sound like such a nerd, but I had drawn out the entire U.S. map with the electoral votes on each state, and I would color them in as they called them in 2016.
Wow.
And since then, I've loved it. I find governance so fascinating. I think there's so many niche and interesting quirks about our political system and other political systems that is so interesting to learn about. And I think that learning about them, learning about some of the issues with them is what has fueled me to go into politics, to study PPE, is because there are things that I want to change, because there are things that are wrong with our system, or I think are wrong with our system.
Could be improved.
And so having that ability to learn from incredible professors, teachers at such a high level is one of the reasons why I wanted to go into PPE.
That's really, really cool.
There's so many questions off of that. But I think what I want to do is I want to go back now, because a bunch of people just tuned out because they heard politics, they heard all this. Oh, I don't care about politics. I hear so many people, young and old, say, oh, I don't get involved in politics. Will you just really quickly kind of sum up why you think people should be interested in, because I taught history for 12 years. I have my own explanation of politics being this marriage of real life. It affects your everyday life, and people don't think about it that way. They think about it something far away. Right. But why should we as people give a flip about politics?
It's a good question. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head talking about how it really affects our day-to-day life. I think people have the sense that politics is the drama and, the presidential election. But in my opinion, it's so much more than that. It is the city council election that's still going on that can decide going back to our conversation about metros, whether Charlotte gets a metro.
Yeah.
It is the Board of Education elections that are also going to be going on that decides what your kids are taught in school or what you're taught in school. It decides how roads are funded, how public parks are funded. There's just so many of those small details of your everyday life that are affected by politics. And even if they're not the big drama, the flashy presidential election or congressional elections, they have such a real impact on your life. And that is something that I have honestly had to realize in the past couple of years as someone who was more interested in the flashier side of politics beforehand, but now I'm getting into more of the governance and how to actually make a change, how laws actually affect us. That side of things is something that I've been getting into. I think that's something that a lot of people may not consider when they think of politics as this dog-eat-dog world.
Right.
I think people just, like, they just think those things happen. Like, they just happen organically.
Right, yes.
Because you never sit and you think about, like, all the steps that had to happen to have this new park.
Yeah.
Like, you just, it's just not something that people
my town
think about.
down in Waxhaw, North Carolina, they just built a brand new park like over the past 2 years.
Yeah.
And it's been so
all
amazing.
The steps.
Yeah, but all the steps to get that,
there?
to get the land, to, everything,
Yeah.
and then the design of the park and how do you approve that? And then some people who are bummed that they don't have fill in the blank and other, you know what I mean? It's just there's so many things that affect our everyday lives. People don't really think about,
realize it.
Or they think that my involvement doesn't really matter. It's not going to affect it. I don't have the power to change anything, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know. There's so many things that I could get into that are fascinating to me. But like, without us getting too bogged down in that, like, have you ever made a call to your classmates or to people that say, like, I'm just not interested in that stuff, and try and get them interested in it and compel them to be?
I've tried. I don't think that I've done anything incredibly profound, but I think really just having the conversations with people about why vote, why stay engaged, why follow the news. I think I've tried to spur those conversations with people who may not be as inclined to follow the news as I am, or really just even having those conversations with other people around them gets them somewhat to bite, hopefully. And I think that is something that I've tried to do. It's something that I think I could definitely work on more, getting more people involved.
I think you probably do a lot of leading by example as well. Like, you give off an air of, like, being knowledgeable about things. And so I feel like people will gravitate towards that. And especially the new, like, group of people that you're going to be involved in. Like, it's going to be this, like, powerhouse group of people who just know everything.
Yes. And are deeply involved in change.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to be wild. Like, you are a part of this generation that will move forward, this group of people. Do you know anyone else from Charlotte, or do you know anyone else from the States who's also going to Oxford?
So I've met a couple of people online through various Instagram accounts, but no one that I know. So it's going to be completely new, which will be interesting for sure.
Yeah, no kidding. So where is what cities or where are you interacting with these people that are going to Oxford?
A lot of people are from the Bay Area, which I think makes sense.
Fascinating. Okay.
I haven't met anyone from the South, which will definitely be a little bit of a culture shock for sure.
Yeah.
Even as someone who's not very
stereotypically
Southern.
I don't say, you don't exude South to me, but I get it.
The deep South.
Anish, Vedantham, the deep Southerner. Yeah, that's so true. But so when you say the Bay, I'm guessing San Francisco Bay Area.
Yep.
Okay, not Chesapeake Bay Area or anything like that.
I mean, I'm sure that there are people from the Northeast as well.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people from the Bay Area. So, I mean, different perspective, definitely something that I haven't really encountered in my life, which will be cool to talk to them about.
Okay, so I'm just going to pitch this in here. We'll see if this even stays in the podcast or not. But this is a question I'm always wrestling with, and I have always invited my students to wrestle with. And so which is the most important thing? Is it personal freedom or is it common good?
Ooh.
Because that's the big debate, right? Like in Constitution and whatever, and in government generally, is like, don't squash my expressions of my personal freedoms. But then it's that middle ground debate but your freedoms are affecting the good of lots of people around you. Any quick thoughts on that?
It's a really interesting question. I was actually...
Just lob that in.
I always do that. I always throw those out there.
I was reading John Stuart Mill's On Liberty today for Oxford, and he really grapples with that question, so this is very pertinent. I honestly tend to agree with Mill in that I think liberty ought to be preserved insofar as it doesn't affect the freedoms or negatively impact anyone else.
Yeah.
I think there are definitely some issues with that without getting too much into the weeds about specific issues, but I think the general principle of preserving liberty as much as possible while maintaining some element of the common good. I know that's kind of a cop-out answer.
Yeah, no.
But I think I think that's probably the ideal answer to your question.
And it's funny, and I think culturally, depending on where you are in the world, that it would like sway one way or the other, because there are some countries that are very collectivist just in the way that they think, and they're like, well, I would never do that. It would bring dishonor not only to me and my family, but my town, my people, et cetera. And so they're constantly thinking about how my actions affect everyone else. Meanwhile, we have, I think here in the West, we tend to be a very egocentric, like, how am I? No, this is about me.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's a really interesting kind of expression in all those spaces. So what's something that we, like you said, you've been interested in politics and all this stuff since you were very young. What else does Anish do?
Yeah.
I run a lot.
Okay.
Cool.
So I ran cross country and track all throughout high school and loved it. And then I'm planning on continuing that at Oxford on the club team.
Oh,
so
cool.
Very excited about that.
Love that.
That's honestly, I hate to say it, that's the biggest. That takes up so much of my time.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy it. So that, and I like to read a lot. Lots
yes,
of,
obviously.
Yeah.
Just throwing Mill out there
you
that you're
have
reading
to.
it. So was that on the reading to come in having read these things, or is just like, I better, this is staple, I should read this before I go to Oxford?
No, that was on the reading list.
Okay,
so
so.
it was a heavily suggested that you read before
Heavily
coming to
suggested.
Oxford. So I was like, you know what, maybe y'all actually do that.
We
But I've enjoyed reading it.
suggest you read this before arriving at Oxford.
On day
Yeah,
one,
that's
you
funny.
should know all of these things.
Fortunately, I bet, was there a bunch of stuff on there you had already read, or are you finding?
Not really.
Oh,
It
wow.
was so a lot of it was like primary texts. So
Okay.
these treatises by these 17th century, 18th century authors, which I have not read just because I think your high school curriculum doesn't tend to cover
I don't think so.
Right.
Yeah.
the greats in political philosophy. I read some Plato, which was going way back when.
Yeah, no
but
kidding.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. And then because, I mean, we've had conversations, and I can't remember, you were reading, one of the times we were talking, you were reading the biographies of one of the Supreme Court justices. I don't remember who it was. Or you had just recently, or some, I don't know. It was something like that. And I was just like, okay, Anish does this for fun. This is all starting to add up a little bit, like your
I read
trajectory. Yes. It used to be a thing where I was so, and I'm old now, but so addicted to what can I learn? What can I learn? What can I learn? And my wife just started asking me, what are you reading for fun? And I'm like, that's a great question. When I was younger, I used to read a lot more for fun, but I had gotten on this, I need to be constantly just developing and learning, leadership, everything, communication, everything else. And so I've kind of returned to fiction.
I know.
And it's
With
funny,
your
and I kind of
sci-fi
love
stuff.
it, yes. And her husband and I are always kind of bouncing these kind of, I don't know, cotton candy sci-fi books back and forth at each other that are just so like, it really is just empty calories, just so fun to read. I was listening to one on the way here. It's making me laugh. It's just great. But it's funny when you have, being as old as I am and having a little bit of references, collection of references, when I'm reading things, I'm like, oh, that's like, or that's derived from, or, you know, it's interesting to be able to tie things to other things. But you are in this stage of, and maybe it will never go away. Maybe this is just who Anish is. But if I'm going to read, I'm going to make it something that educates me, makes my understanding greater. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, but I think I enjoy it. Not I think
sure.
I enjoy
Yes,
it. I
you
do
truly
enjoy it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
On the point about fiction, I have really struggled to read fiction because I found that, in my opinion, there's a big chasm between YA fiction and adult fiction.
Yes.
And I feel like mentally I can't sit down with an adult fiction book and enjoy it as much as I can with a nonfiction book or a biography. So there's this kind of liminal space where I just I can't sit and read Harry Potter for the 20 millionth time, but I'm not ready to read Stephen King.
Yeah,
as an example.
But you have read the Potter books.
I have many times.
Oh, okay. So that's cool. Okay.
I've done all the YA in like
you've checked those
middle
boxes.
school.
You're good.
Lower school, middle school, and yeah.
That's funny. So is there any pressure like from your parents, et cetera, like about what you are spending your time doing, what you're reading? The reason I ask is because I was in, I think, 5th grade, maybe 4th grade, and I came home with one of the, I mean, this would have been in the 80s. So I came home with Tolkien's The Hobbit. And my dad's like, what the hell is a Hobbit? You don't need to be reading this. Return this. Check out a book on the Battle of Midway or something. Like he wanted me to be reading nonfiction and had me. So I took it back to school and didn't bring it home and just put it in my desk and would read it at reading time every day at school. But it was just this kind of, I felt a pressure from my dad. I knew right then, I can't bring this stuff that I really enjoy home and read it in front of my dad if it's not nonfiction. But do you feel any pressures? Like, was there?
My mom is kind of the opposite. She's been really pushing me for a while to read the classics.
Okay.
And I am finally just getting around to that. I read John Steinbeck's The Grapes of Wrath with a friend and really enjoyed that. And I was going to read Don Quixote by Cervantes, but that has been pushed to the back burner given my lengthy reading list.
Yeah.
Your list from Oxford.
That's like my husband Dane's list. Like he has all of the classics up and rereads those over and over and over again. He loves them. But.
That's funny. So what about music? What do you listen to? Do you listen to music or?
I do. I have a really basic music list. So a lot of Taylor Swift, Noah Kahan, who else? Olivia Rodrigo occasionally, Sabrina Carpenter.
Yeah.
So Owen, who you mentioned, has a very eccentric music taste.
Yes, he does.
And I enjoy talking to him about it. I enjoy listening to his recommendations. But honestly, if I am just playing music for myself, which I don't typically do very often, but if I do, it's that basic, like, basic pop music.
Yeah.
Or I've gotten into the past couple of years a little bit of country, still like pop country.
Yeah, sure.
But like Zach Bryan and Thomas Rhett.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah. So kind of embracing that, the Southern.
Yeah, exactly.
Anish
There it
element.
is. That's deep south.
That is. There it is. Yes, it's manifesting. That's awesome.
That.
And movies? I mean, so you probably watched all the Potter movies when you were younger as you were reading them and stuff like that, but film?
Yeah, movies I'm not a huge fan of. I cannot bring myself to concentrate on them for that long. And like the classics, I just haven't seen many of them, which I kind of regret, but at this point, I just can't bring myself to sit down and watch something that long. I don't watch too much TV at all, just because, and the TV I do watch is still is skewed very politically.
That's so funny. Well, something's got to give. It's funny because the rest of us, we're watching Netflix. My wife and I just started Yellowstone. We've never watched a series that people have been talking about for years. So the rest of us we are filling our time with things. And like, if you're doing all this other stuff, I'm wondering, do you just not sleep or what gives?
Reads.
And now we understand that it's film. Film gives. You don't watch much. You don't watch the screens very much.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I've mainly movies. I'll watch some TV shows. I know you've mentioned Severance on this podcast a couple times.
I love that
this
show.
is turning
Love
into
Severance.
like a Severance podcast,
really
I guess.
is, yes.
But love Severance.
Yes.
I watched Madam Secretary.
That makes
I like
sense.
that.
Part of House of Cards, then got bored.
Yeah.
Same, actually.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's
Same
the
with
same.
my
The
wife and I.
Diplomat is a new one on
Okay.
Netflix that I've really enjoyed. I'm trying to think what else.
Okay,
I've
so it
watched.
really is leaning
just
political,
skews
and
that
so
way,
these systems. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
And then TikTok, Instagram Reels. That
Of course.
can't
So
hide.
what does
Can't
your
take that
algorithm
away.
feed you, Anish? Like what shows up on those?
It really fluctuates.
That's a
Okay.
good question. We should ask everybody.
We should. Like, yeah, what is showing
Mental
up on your
note,
feed right now?
what's in your
We need
algorithm?
to ask this.
A lot of political content,
Yeah.
as expected.
Yeah.
A good amount of Taylor Swift content, especially since she just dropped or she
like
announced
I
her
was
new
gonna
album.
ask. As soon as I heard her name, I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna ask."
I'm trying to think what else has been showing up, and I can't remember. Those are the two things that come to the front of my mind.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. It's like you were saying, like if you, I'm trying to imagine, like when you're reading Grapes of Wrath, were you listening to anything? Like, is music playing? Like, what is that scene when you're kicked back reading Grapes of Wrath? Like, I'm trying to picture when you do listen to music. Is it just in the car? When do you do
Mainly in the car
Okay.
or in the shower. Those
Okay.
are my two
Yeah, when you
big
can't be
times
reading.
yeah, pretty much.
The-
Could never listen to a something and read at the same time.
That's
do
what
you
I mean.
do that?
Oh, well, yeah. Well, I will sometimes. But for
Oh.
me, it's things that don't have lyrics.
Okay.
Oh.
So I have to put on, I think I have undiagnosed attention deficit things. And people probably who've been listening have already figured that out a long time ago who don't even know me. But I will put on something that has a beat or a rhythm that has no like lyrics. So it's not distracting. It becomes something that actually allows me to focus. So lo-fi study beats, whenever I go and work in a cafe, I can't hear little pieces of conversations. I got to put my sound canceling headphones on.
I can understand
Have that or synthwave chill or something, just something in the background that's just a rhythm. And so then I can get down and work.
Right.
But yeah, so I will read sometimes and have like just that playing in the background.
I think
a
even
bit.
that would distract me. But
I've done that. This is, I think this is really funny, but there was a period of time where I would listen to Bad Bunny while I was working because the upbeat nature plus the fact that, but it still had lyrics. I kind of speak Spanish. I've taken Spanish, but I didn't understand everything he was saying.
Sure.
So it got me like energized while I was studying.
yeah.
But
You have no idea what he's
yeah,
saying.
exactly. Wasn't focusing too much on the lyrics,
It's
which
just a
that really
vibe.
helped.
It's just a vibe.
Just a vibe.
Yeah, I wish I could do that. I can't just vibe. If there's things being said, my brain's like, what did they say? What was
Yeah.
that?
I don't think
And
I
I
could
just
either.
get caught up in
I don't
that
know, who knows?
big time. So I'm
try
guessing you haven't seen Happy Gilmore 2.
I have not, no.
Yeah, well, I just know Bad Bunny's featured in it.
Oh,
Apparently.
is he?
Oh,
Well, the only reason I know that is because we were at like this dinner the other night and there was a little girl running around, just this precocious, she's hilarious girl running around. And she had drawn this bunny with angry eyes or whatever. And she had written Bad Bunny on the paper and came up. I was like, I think there's like a musician named Bad Bunny. And we were all kind of laughing about it. And her dad said, yeah, I think he was in Happy Gilmore or whatever. So it's funny. But
Oh, that was a celebrity laden show.
that's
I
what I
heard
heard.
that.
So
I
many
haven't seen
cameos.
it
I haven't
either.
seen it yet either. I love the first
like
one.
30
It's just-
some
But it's,
cameos.
yeah, I think
wow.
it's like I've romanticized it. It happened. That movie happened during a certain part of my life, and so it's just kind
You're
of
not
funny.
going to ruin it.
In that case, I
I
would say,
don't
yeah,
think so.
don't watch it. I haven't heard the greatest things about it.
Oh,
so.
okay.
That's what I meant. Like, don't ruin
Don't ruin
your
two.
sentimental
Oh, yeah, by watching
vibes
two?
by watching two.
Maybe.
Who
I don't
knows?
know. Yeah, that's funny.
What about your family? What it like?
Yeah.
Do you have siblings?
I have a sister.
Mm-hmm.
We have a pretty big age gap. She's going into 7th grade, so
Okay.
that's 6 years, I think.
Okay.
She's great. I really enjoy talking to her if she talks to me.
If
It's
she talks to you.
So who initiates? Do you usually and she responds or no?
well, I'm also really bad about that because I have so much else going on. I am sometimes not as good at initiating the conversation, so
Yeah.
it's kind of like it's a double-edged sword. I drove her to school this entire year, and that was
Oh,
good.
no
That's
way. That's
good.
cool.
We got to bond over music and just kind of talk for a bit. So that was nice, especially like
That
going
is
off to
really
college.
nice.
Yeah, for sure. Did you watch that accelerate your relationship at all? Like, or did that change anything? Having that everyday time with her?
I think so. She would probably argue that I spent most of the time in the car like road raging and said it wasn't very helpful, but I think we definitely bonded.
At least it was authentic.
Yes.
Yes.
It was definitely not fake.
Right.
Yes.
There you go.
So she knows her brother well. Anish loves politics and all of this philosophy.
loves to
And he
rage.
loves to rage on people. He's, yeah. Do you feel like you're an easily irritated person with drivers?
Yes, very. Even driving over
doubts.
here, I was like, oh my God,
my
why are
gosh.
Charlotte drivers so bad? I think in my head it's healthy because I never act on it. So I'm just yelling in
Yes,
the car.
Yeah.
And I think it's a
Nobody can
very
hear you. It's
healthy
fine.
outlet for my anger as opposed
Right.
to raging at anyone else who can actually hear me.
Okay.
That's how I justify it at least.
Okay,
That's
yes.
valid.
All of us were insulated. You know,
Yeah.
it's just me and me.
It only hurts
and
me.
my little sister.
And my sister.
And sister.
Learning.
7th grade, what age is that?
Yeah, so what
12.
is
Like
that?
a
12. I was going to say 12 or
12-year-old.
13.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, that's really funny.
That's cool.
What would and then your parents, like, because it sounds like everyone in your family knows a lot about one another and your habits or whatever. Like, where's Anish? Oh, he's probably reading or, or whatever. But like, how were those interactions? Like, what are those relationships like?
So my mom has kind of been the formative influence on
Okay.
me. She had instilled in herself the philosophy of know a little bit about every topic so that you're able to talk at least a little bit about it to anyone. And I've really tried to live by that and learn a little bit about everything to kind of have those conversations. And my dad is a incredibly calm and very mature person, and I really look up to that. I envy it, to be completely honest,
Yeah.
because I am a lot more red, to use the color lingo,
yeah.
but I'm a lot more hot-headed. And so he has really taught me to not get as irritated, or let things, just bounce off my back. And so I really appreciate that. And it's been a good learning lesson to have someone who's that calm in the house, because my mom is definitely like me, very hot-headed.
And then your sister, is she like your dad, or is she like you and your mom? Or...
She's pretty hot-headed. I've tried to instill the lessons that my dad has taught me to her, because she can get very angry. So really tried to bring that down from her for self-preservation's sake.
Yeah.
Like, I've been here. I know what this looks like.
Exactly.
So tell me a little bit about your dad then, and thinking about this, because this is not disparaging to your mom, because you like by holding up, you're like, my dad is very mature. It's like how you followed that after talking about your mom. Mom, obviously very mature, incredibly well educated, all that. But why is it a predisposition thing with your dad, or at least in part, or has he been practicing? Does he practice in some way something that has made him the way he is?
I think it's definitely a lot of I think he's definitely predisposed to do that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it was genetic. Both my grandmother on his side and my grandfather were both also very calm people. My paternal grandfather is the one that taught me, when you're mad, count backwards from 10, and hopefully the anger will go away. And so I think that has definitely come to him. He's very, very patient, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
and
that's
I
cool.
think a lot of it was definitely genetics, temperament. There's nothing that he's done specifically that he's mentioned, which don't want to take away from any of the practices that he's doing, but knowing him, I can't imagine that he's sitting at home meditating. So.
Okay. Yeah, this is just something.
So it's temperament.
That's funny. So how would your friends describe you then, or how would your family and friends describe you? What do you think?
I don't think my friends would see me as particularly hot-headed.
Yeah, I
think,
and I'm not I haven't been around you a bunch, but I've never thought that about you.
Yeah.
I have really learned to control those impulses, and they show up only every now and then, which, thankful about that. I think my family definitely knows that I get pretty hot-headed at times, but I think even still they would say that I've cooled in the past 7 years, just because I've kind of learned there's a time and place for when, hot-headedness is acceptable, and a time and place for hot-headedness isn't. But I think when I lead, I tend to get a little hot-headed. And I think sitting around the table at WITS, me and Sanaya have definitely butted heads. Because we're both a little hot-headed.
You're both very red as far as that leadership and that
it's
predisposition.
also a responsibility thing. Like you said, when you're leading, you feel more, you can get into that space more. I feel like that because when I'm responsible for things, I have an excellence level that I want to be at. And if everybody else is not with me, then that's really frustrating.
Yes, absolutely. This is going to reflect on all of us, including me. So I need you all to step up.
Because I'm partially red.
Yep.
Yes. Well, it's funny. Those of you listening who don't know what we're talking about red. You can go back. We have a podcast where we talk about predisposition. But it's just this tool that we've given students to help them identify themselves a little bit, perhaps with their predisposition as far as introversion to extroversion, and as far as like conflict. Like, do you move towards or away from conflict? Just using just those two of the big 5 personality traits kind of to get an idea, maybe a quick snapshot of maybe some of our tendencies, strengths, and potential areas for growth and awareness.
Potential areas for growth.
That's right. Instead of like...
all the reds just roll our
weaknesses.
eyes.
Instead of, quote, weaknesses, we're going to call it, areas for growth. Yeah, reds definitely roll their eyes and they're like, no, you just suck at that. You should be better
These are not weaknesses. You just need to be better.
Yeah, do you identify a little bit with that sentiment, Anish, sometimes?
I would, but I'm also very self-critical, so that kind of fair. They both cancel out. And I resonate a lot more with the potential areas for growth.
Yes,
because I can see those in myself, and I'm like, okay, Anish,
fair.
let's curb those so that people actually like you.
That's right. Well, and self-compassion, maybe not like hating on yourself, but come on. Yeah, you can't help some of this stuff. This is, to your point with your dad, genetic or predisposed, and I can work on it. I can become aware of it.
Right.
So you've spoken a couple of times, road rage, and I'm curious what people do when they drive that frustrate you, but then hot-headed, your family knows that you can be, but they have watched you mature. What are the things that really like piss you off? Like, I'm so curious what the things are that make Anish angry.
Incompetence is pretty much like, I can sum it up with incompetence. If people aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, if people aren't doing things to that level of excellence that I have in my head, whether that's on a school project or whether that's, following the rules of the road, or going a little slow, which is one of my biggest. Speeding is one of my biggest issues, and I probably shouldn't admit that on camera, but I feel like everyone does it. So it's
so like just quick. Let's pause right there. If the speed limit is 55, how fast should the person in front of you be going?
I think at minimum 60.
Okay,
I just
so
think
just
like
at least 5 over. Okay.
Will I go a little over sometimes? Yes.
So if they're doing 60 and you're right by, and you're 50 and the speed limit's 55, are you like, oh sweet, now we're just cruising along, or are you like, dang, I need to pass this person, or will they go
63.
faster? Yes, I could be going. Is that?
Depends on my mood. There are definitely times that I will like catch myself just not zoning out, but completely like going way under the speed limit. I'm like, oh wow, that was really calm. That was peaceful. I have been called a kamikaze driver at times, and I'll like switch lanes really quickly.
Okay.
Just to, if I'm in a rush, that's when I really get going. But I feel like that's natural.
To anybody.
Yeah.
Right.
That's when we make horrible decisions when we're in a rush. Always.
Yes.
Yeah, that's funny. And so I've heard someone say this, like, oh, they're always frustrated. Someone in front, not you, but I've heard people talk about other people. And I'm just curious how much you could identify with this. Like, they're like tailgating the person in front of them because they're not going fast enough. But then they're so frustrated when someone's tailgating them. Have you ever heard? Are you that person?
I try not to tailgate. There are definitely times when someone's going really slow that I may inch up on their personal space a little bit, but I get very frustrated when people tailgate me. Okay, I also get a little freaked out. I feel like that's like just dangerous for them as well. And I'm like, okay, maybe make some smarter decisions. Maybe hold yourself to a higher standard of excellence.
Crazy, right?
Crazy. And then
I'm like what you just said, though.
Oh yeah,
like
you're
I will
the victim
be
no matter what. You're like 1,000%. Get off my tail.
I'll be like, I am the border. Like I am the rule breaking border. So I'm breaking the rules this way.
Yes.
But you shouldn't be breaking them more than I am. Like I'm the furthest.
You're the arbiter of all the boundary fairness and where things should be.
There it is.
Like just you're the marker. The pace
I'm not
car
serious.
For the world.
Yes.
In every category.
In the most pious way, yes, that's not true. I don't actually think that. But
but there's something in me that does
There's something in me that feels good about that.
That's funny. So other than road rage, what other things? So incompetence, in what other areas do you, I'm sure you just got out of high school, group projects, these things obviously.
A nightmare.
Anything else?
I mean, that's mainly it. Yeah. I don't really get mad at anything other than that. And even with, incompetence in group projects, I won't outwardly show it. I may complain to my friends after. Yeah. I might just get really frustrated. Oh, actually, this kind of goes into incompetence, but anyone who knows me knows that I have I'm a sucker for punctuality. If I need people to be on time to wherever they are, and I really prefer to be a couple minutes early.
Yeah. You were early here today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have friends who will show up late to things that they know if they are running late that they need to send me a text, and once they get there, apologize. And I do the same thing. If I'm ever late, I always apologize. So I feel like that's valid.
We both understand that. We both hate to be late.
Yeah, I hate being late.
We always try and be early.
We really do. And it doesn't always work, but most of the time.
Most of the time.
Yeah, that's funny. Mm-hmm. So I think what have you, there's 2 questions I have kind of remaining, and then one kind of last question about something you're maybe looking forward to. But here you are, this student, one of, like we said, the only students going to Oxford, et cetera. This person that you mentioned, Sanaya is awesome, friend of ours. She's also been part of the lead team with Students for Students. She's headed to Brown University, obviously another incredibly high-achieving individual. Mm-hmm. But what do people around you know what drives you? Do you know what drives you? Why does Anish push so hard? Because there's obviously this natural curiosity that just kind of showed up in you around these things. But to get into, that's not just following, your whatever, just kind of these natural inclinations. To get into Oxford, et cetera, you had to at some point decide, I want to go to this incredible place. I want to have what it takes to be truly set apart from most people. Why?
That is a really tough question that I've been grappling with. I think, having having finished the college app process, you would think that I would have a good answer of, what makes Anish tick.
Essays, yeah.
But I don't have a really good answer for it. I think part of it was definitely when I was younger, my parents really pushed me to excel, and they would always look out for me in terms of finding opportunities for me and just being there for me and helping me with whatever I needed. And, because of that, the trade-off was, we expect you to do really well in school in whatever you do. And I think that kind of pushed me throughout the latter half of middle school and throughout high school to push myself. So whether that was, in academics or I think, honestly, I would say that in track has probably been the biggest example of that, where I pretty much try and go on a run every single day. And that kind of self-motivation came to me from the pushing that my parents have done. And I think my track journey, is a really exemplifies the motivation that I've had and that willingness to kind of push myself. And so I think a lot of it has just become kind of self-motivation from that initial push by my parents.
Yeah.
But I don't have a really profound or deep answer to
that.
that.
No, I think that explains it. It sounds like quite a bit of self-awareness. Has there been any times where you've thought where there's been a downside to this?
I think I definitely tend to burn out a little.
Obviously not yet. I mean, you just got into Oxford, so you're not obviously haven't burnt out.
Yeah, I think there are definitely dips.
Yeah, there's ebbs and flows.
But
yeah.
That's honestly the biggest thing is I can get very intense as well and not take a break, not take time off, and that can obviously result in issues later down the road. Thankfully, I haven't had any major issues yet. Knock on whatever wood there is.
Yeah.
But
and by issues, you mean a breakdown or some sort of emotional crisis, or what do you mean that?
Right. Either mental health issues or
Yeah.
physical health issues.
Yeah.
Whether that's in, from academic stress, running stress,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah. This collective stress of excelling whatever you're doing. It sounds like a deep and a very real expectation for yourself that you've instilled in when you're not living up to that, how, managing those things, etc. The outcomes have been obviously incredible. I was just curious, do you look back at high school at all now and think dang, there's some things I missed out on because I was driven so hard that it'd have been fun to have been able to take part in? Or do you feel no, this is actually, this is great the way it worked out?
Honestly, I think I had, and this is going to kind of sound like what you said, a very the perfect existence where I was able to, have a really good social life. And I think that's something I really prided myself on, was being able to, meet people and really connect with people and meet people from so many different walks of life, which I think really pushed me to join Students for Students.
Right.
And that's kind of been my motivation being on the lead team. I've had that social aspect. I've had the athletic aspect. I've had the academic aspect, and just taken together. I am very happy with how my high school, everything turned out.
Yeah,
so
that's incredible.
No big regrets,
That's
honestly.
Awesome. So you mentioned Students for Students. Here's these spaces, these clubs, this for belonging, creating spaces of belonging for other students, younger students. What motivated you to get involved with that? I mean, and I'm not saying because there are people that, at least one of the tertiary benefits is this looks pretty good on college applications, and to help start and run this organization that is, for the benefit of the entire student body. This isn't so self-motivated, but that'll be cool to have that, to help build this. But there had to have been something more to it than that, because you're deeply involved and you're very passionate about it. So what's that about?
I am such a social person, and that's what makes me tick, honestly, is connecting with people, talking to people, whether that's, just socially as friends or in other settings. And so, I mean, Students for Students at its core is just talk club. It's come and talk for an hour, 30 minutes about whatever's on your mind in a little group. And I loved that. I went to the first couple pilot meetings, and I was immediately so bought in because I loved talking to people that I hadn't really spoken to a lot in the past.
Yeah.
And so that, when I was asked to join the lead team by Frankie and Sanaya, I was like, yeah, I totally want to give that opportunity to other people, people who maybe as extroverted as I am, or maybe are more introverts and need that, push to kind of talk to other people. And so being able to give that space and share something that I love, talking to other people, really pushed me to join. And then I think being around the lead team especially, and just, sitting at WITS, whether that's talking about what we're planning on doing, what events we have planned, or whether that's arguing about whether PD or Latin is better. PD's better. Whatever it was, I really enjoyed just talking to people.
Yeah.
And, even if it was deep conversations with Question Cup, I felt comfortable, and I really wanted to bring that to other people. And I've really enjoyed getting to know people from so many different walks of life. And I think that's probably the common thread that you see throughout my existence on this earth is just wanting to know different things about different people. And
That's so cool.
Super cool.
And then did you, like your freshman, sophomore years, did you have any upperclassmen that were that you'd created relationships with through track or through some other organization that was meaningful to you? I mean, because that's what this club is about, right? Is like seniors and juniors kind of looking out for and like making these younger students, freshmen and sophomore, feel like, hey, you belong. I'm for you. There's a group of people anywhere on campus, in the hallways when I see you. Hey, what's up? It's like it really does accentuate the feeling of belonging. Did you have anything like that, or did you not have it? Was there any motivation there?
Not really.
Okay.
I don't know if that was one of the biggest drivers for me. I think it was more just the conversations as a whole.
Yeah.
But I think I've definitely seen that kind of cross-grade connection grow as Students for Students has taken root at PD. And some of my closest friends are people not in the same grade as me. Reed Zimmerman, who is a incoming sophomore at Northwestern.
Oh, cool.
One of my closest friends did Students for Students as well. And then Owen Moore, who is a rising senior at PD.
Yeah.
Also one of my best friends, and someone who I didn't get to know through Students for Students, but someone who I really appreciate. And so having that connection cross grades is something that's important to me as someone who's experienced that for myself, even if it wasn't freshman, sophomore year.
Cool.
Super cool.
Yeah, man. Thanks for reflecting on that. I was just curious. I just know that my high school experience would have been drastically different if there had been like an upperclassman like looking out for me, making me feel like, hey, you're cool, like you belong here, that kind of a thing. So here's the second question that I referred to way earlier, and then we'll wrap up after that. Is there anything that you've learned about yourself or just in general that you're like, this has been really helpful for me, and I think it could be really helpful for like any other student, like kind of, or maybe even shoot adult like listening.
Yeah.
Anything you've learned that you're like, yeah, this has been really helpful for me, and if it's helpful for someone else, great. But what is that thing? If there's something,
I think, and for people who know me, this is kind of out of character, but really finding the positives in things is something that I think is so valuable. There have been so many times that I've been forced to do things that I don't enjoy. And I think the part of me that has enjoyed it the most has been the part that's found something interesting within it. So my junior year, I took a slate of incredibly difficult classes, including AP Calculus and AP Biology. And I'm not a very science or math heavy person, but I found that I really enjoyed the challenge and the like feeling like I was doing something that was difficult. And so I found that like that was the part that drew me to those classes. And so finding that really helped me get through junior year and still enjoy it. And so I think that's applicable whether you are, 8 or 80, whether you're in your working professional life or you're a student. And so trying to find those small pockets of happiness in even the mundane tasks is something that I think is really valuable, and it's something that I've done in my academic/professional life, and something that I can probably do a little bit better in my personal life, as evidenced by the road rage and other.
Instead of raging, like, what could I be learning from this right now? Maybe my dad would say patience.
Patience.
That's funny. So you're headed to Oxford. We're going to wrap it up with this, like headed to Oxford. So I'm imagining that's what you're looking forward to. But is
When
there
do
something
you
else?
leave?
I leave in mid-September.
Yeah, so we are recording this kind of 2/3 of the way through August.
Yeah, so you got like 2 or 3 more weeks.
Yeah, that's wild. I'm glad we
is
had a
wild.
chance to get you on. I told you, I was like, I've got to get you on before you leave for the UK. It's wild because I think the academic rigor, I think, is what not only got people to Oxford, the people who have been accepted and are headed there. But it's probably what everyone's thinking about and focusing on when they're headed there. So maybe the social aspect isn't too much of a worry of yours. But I'm just curious, what do you find yourself looking forward to and worried about heading out of your house, moving out?
I think the two components that you touched on are both worries and things that are very exciting to me. I am scared to death of meeting new people. I really enjoy it, but I am really worried that, I might not find my place. I might not belong. I may not be able to have those deep connections that Students for Students has given me. So that part is definitely a bit of a worry, but it's also something I'm really looking forward to because Oxford has people from all over the world.
Sure.
You have people from Asia, Africa, and North America, obviously the UK. And so getting to meet people that come from so many different walks of life and really interact with them on hopefully a deep, less than not superficial level.
Sure.
I'm really looking forward to that. And then the academic rigor, kind of the same thing. I am really looking forward to really delving in deep to these, different texts and this knowledge that the school and the professors have. But then at the same time, it is a completely different school system in the U.S., something that I'm not at all used to. And so having to navigate that while also moving, 7 hours by flight from home and making completely new friends is something that is definitely a little worrisome. But excited on the whole.
Yeah. I think about, I don't know why this came to mind, but like the Bachelor or Bachelorette, once the roses have been handed out and the people leave that didn't get roses, the people that hang back and they're like, we all got roses. There's something about you all got the rose to get into Oxford. So there's something that kind of bonds you as a group from the rest of the world. So that's got to be something that's a uniting force. Is there anything in you that, because you're so well read compared to obviously anyone that we have met, right? But is there any fear, imposter, like that you're not as prepared as you should be going into this group of people that are coming from all over the world?
100%.
That's so crazy that you could prepare as much as you have and still feel that way. That's shocking.
I've definitely really struggled with imposter syndrome, both academically and athletically. There was a time that I didn't even consider myself a runner just because I think I had run under 5 minutes for a mile and I was still concerned that I wasn't really a runner. And so that's something that I'm not convinced is ever going to go away. But I am kind of part of the preparation that I'm doing right now is just hoping, praying that I won't feel like an imposter. And I'm sure that once I get there, the rational part of me is like, you will be fine, you will learn. But there's still that nagging little voice that wants me to, just be incredibly worried. So I'm working through that, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. That's a tough thing that I think we've all dealt with. There's a podcast where Kellie and I had a whole conversation around my level of imposter syndrome because I've always been in a space where I don't feel quite qualified to be there. And I am far less qualified than you, Anish. So it's like this interesting thing of, I don't know, have you given any thought, what gets you through that? What is the thing that would cause that, that would enable you to stop feeling that way? What would you have to accomplish, do you think? Because running, you have the data. It's literally, you can look at the number of runners and you literally have a number that says how fast of a runner you are. And it's incredible. Sub 5 miles are incredible. That's insane. So I don't know. Do you have any strategy moving into this?
I think for me, a lot of it is just the goalposts always move and there's never that acceptance. I think it's something that I really need to work on. There are times that it doesn't manifest itself, and there are times that, thankfully, I'm able to exist in my life without thinking constantly, "Oh, I shouldn't be here." But I as of yet, I haven't found any strategy to make it go away completely, and I think that's something that I will be reckoning with throughout my life, and I think that's something that a lot of people reckon with, kind of like you mentioned.
I think there's a difference because I feel like you will just do it, you'll push yourself into it and figure it out, and then that can be really debilitating for others.
Yes,
they wouldn't be confronted with this and choose not to do it, which is not what avenue you've taken.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've had some leaders in my life that have been very good about at least saying, no, we need to slow down and celebrate what just happened. Because I hear you talking about the moving goalposts. Like, I can't imagine what your goals were. How long have you wanted to get into Oxford, do you think?
Only about 2 years.
Okay, but for 2 years, you've been wanting to. And then when that letter came, I hope that there was a big celebration, because you can't, because I mean, the thing
what's
is,
next?
because probably, yes, and that's what I'm imagining for you, is that you got the letter and you're like, oh my gosh, and for just a few moments you were celebrating, but then it's like, okay, now I've got to get ready to get into, instead of really learning how to slow down and be like, for 24 months, I've been moving towards this, and I achieved this. I can at least celebrate this for a while. If I've spent 24 months trying to do this, I should probably spend more than 30 minutes celebrating it. You know what I'm saying? And really reveling in the fact that, and this was an incredibly difficult goal that I just achieved. So perhaps, and this is just like one little offering, humble offering, that, I don't know, think about how much time you've invested in something, and then don't allow the goalpost to move. Like, literally sit down and lean back against the base of that goalpost. You've got a lot
to be proud of.
You have a lot to be proud of, and I'm genuinely impressed by you. And obviously, everyone I've ever talked to, the counselors, the administration at PD, anyone who knows you are just, I don't know, we're in awe of your ability to do this. So, I don't know, man. You should be so proud, because you have a whole community behind you that's proud of you, and this incredible family that's proud of you. So, yeah, I don't know. And this next month or so, as you're reading these books on political philosophy, do it leaning with your back up against that goalpost of like, dude, I freaking got into Oxford. Yeah. And then, are you already drinking a lot of tea and eating biscuits and stuff, like getting ready for all that?
Definitely need to learn how to drink tea.
Yeah, you
the
do.
right sort of tea.
Yeah, you do. And beer. You're going to need to be able to like go in the pub and drink a beer. Because isn't the drinking age 18 there?
I don't know.
I think it is. There's a really cool pub, and that's it. I think I told you about.
Yes.
That's in the wall of Oxford. It's like, and you got to go the tiniest little alleyway down there, and it's old. It's from like the, I don't know how many hundreds of years old this pub is.
So cool.
But I had to like crouch down to walk through the door and stand in there. I couldn't stand up straight. So, I don't know, cool little spot. And then the punting boats like pushing around through the little water and all that's really cool.
That's so fun.
Neat space.
It is. I'm very excited.
Yeah. Anish, thanks so much for being on, man.
Thank
So
you so
cool
much.
of you to set aside time.
Yeah.
It's fun to know you a little bit better too, and all the best and success to you
Thank you so much.
across the pond.
I really appreciate everything. Thank you.
Yeah, man.